Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Bean here, and today I'm coming at you with an anticipated releases video, but not just any anticipated releases. I'm going through some of my top for the fall. So just September and October. I didn't really get into November because there are a lot more than I thought there were going to be for September and October. So I'm just going through the September and October releases that I am looking forward to, and I'm going to jump right in with September 7th. So the first book that is on my list is actually a book that is not so much for me, but is for a lot of our viewers, I know. It is the new Adrian Young book. It is The Last Legacy by Adrian Young. So I personally have not read the Namesake duology by Adrian Young, but I have heard nothing but amazing things about it. Apparently this book takes place right after that and is a follow-up following one of the characters. So if you enjoyed the Namesake series, I have been told that this is a book that you should definitely check out. The next book that I wanted to talk about is called Bones of Ruin by Sarah Raleigh. Now, this follows an African tightrope dancer. Ready? Kind of like captured my interest. Who, it turns out, is immortal. 'Cause why not? So basically, this character doesn't remember her past. She has no idea who she is, but the apocalypse is coming. And so she ends up getting recruited by this guy and put into something called the Tournament of Freaks, where basically this committee is trying to find a leader for the upcoming apocalypse. And so Iris is basically sponsored by this man named Adam in order to participate in this competition. And in doing so, she will be meeting a bunch of other people with special abilities and hopefully will learn about her past. So this sounds super intriguing and super intense. So I'm very intrigued by it. The next date that I'm going to move on to just briefly is September 14th, and the book that I want to talk about on this date is The Corpse Queen by Heather Herman. This is a thriller story, in case you can't tell by the cover, that follows a 17-year-old girl named Molly Green, whose all of her family has died, and she believes that she has no prospects until she is sent to live with an aunt. And she doesn't really believe that this aunt can be related to her, and then meets the aunt and is like, oh, I am related to you. And this aunt is super eccentric and she has a very odd job. So the issue with this is 1850s Philadelphia. So there isn't a lot that a woman's really allowed to do at this point. But Molly's aunt steals corpses and sells them to the local doctors. So Molly ends up getting dragged into this sort of way of life, and it turns out she's pretty good at it. And she ends up visiting the doctor one day, and turns out she just wants to join in his anatomy classes. I'm feeling kind of Stalking Jack the Ripper vibes here, but I think there might also be some sort of supernatural element. I'm not positive. But honestly, this sounds super interesting and super intense, and I love this kind of story. So I'm very intrigued to see where it goes. All right, the next day that I'm moving on to is September 21st, and the first book I want to talk about is All These Bodies by Kendar Blake. Now, basically, the reason that I picked this is because it's Kendar Blake, and I will read anything that she writes, generally. This book takes place in 1958 in the Midwest in America, and it follows two teenagers who are found with 16 bloodless bodies. Is there anything else you really need to know for this one? So this follows after a murder of a family of 15 are found murdered in their home. Blood everywhere, and this girl is found standing in the middle of all of it, covered in blood. And at first they think she's a survivor until they realize that none of the blood is hers. And so it follows her as she tells her story, and then an aspiring journalist who listens to her story and basically goes on a quest to try and figure out what happened. And I'm sorry, this sounds so intriguing to me, super creepy, and I believe it's actually kind of based off of a true story, possibly. I know that this has happened. I listen to crime podcasts, can you tell? But I do think that this will be a very interesting story, and I think it's going to be either hit and miss. This sounds so intriguing and so different that I am here for it. The next book that's coming out on September 21st that I am super excited about is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Now, in case you don't know, TJ Klune is one of my new favorite authors, as he is for many, many people because of The House in the Cerulean Sea. I am intrigued by this, not to mention I love these covers. They're great. They make me very happy. But yeah, I don't know a lot about the story, and I'm gonna go into it a little bit blind because I went into the last book of his that I read blind, and I really enjoyed that. So we're gonna keep with it this way. Alright, the next date that I am moving on to is September 28th, and for that, the first one I want to talk about is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Now, I attempted to read Caraval by Stephanie Garber, but honestly, I think I'm just too old to read that book and enjoy it. I could not get into it. I was annoyed by page 1 and couldn't deal with the characters. So, I'm giving it a second chance. Or I'm giving her a second chance. And I would like to read this one. This sounds very interesting. It follows a young girl named Evangeline, who was raised in her father's curiosity shop, learning about different stories such as the tragic Prince of Hearts, which apparently they grew up telling their children and such. And basically, Evangeline wants to marry the Prince of Hearts more than anything. But when she is betrothed to another, she basically goes begging to the Prince of Hearts to please. She will do anything if he can save her from this marriage. And so he does. All he asks for is 3 kisses from her. And after the first kiss, though, she realizes that he's asking for a lot more than just that. And this could either be amazing or absolutely terrible. This is the first book in a new series, and I am highly intrigued by the aspect of folklore in this one. So I'm interested in this one. I am definitely interested. We'll see. All right, that was September for me. I know there's a lot more books coming out, but these are the ones that have made it to the top of my list. And so I will now move on to October. And the first date I want to talk about is October 5th. And the first book I want to talk about is Paybacks, a Witch by Lana Harper. I believe this is a debut by Lana Harper. But this is advertised as The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina meets the L Word in a sapphic romance with magic. I'm intrigued. This isn't like my normal type of book, but it's slowly becoming something that I am more and more intrigued with. So I'm intrigued, but I'm here for it. I'm very interested. So yeah. So basically this follows a girl named Emmy who is a witch who has basically given herself a self-imposed exile in order to get away from some family drama and to follow someone that she has developed a crush on. And things are going all right for her until her family basically guilt trips her into coming back and serving as arbiters for a spellcasting tournament. So she does end up going back, and that's when she finds a witch named Talia and her best friend Lyndon, who have both been seeing this very attractive man that Emmy also kind of was falling in love for, named Gareth. And it turns out that neither of these girls knew that he was seeing both of them, and so they both had really bad breakups with him, and they want revenge. And for some reason, Emmy is okay with this, even though she thought she was in love with him, and she suddenly can't stop thinking about one of these other witches. So I think it sounds kind of cute. Maybe a little cliche, but I still think it sounds absolutely adorable, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Oh, I did miss one for September. I apologize. This is September 28th. I missed a new Eric Larson book. It's called No One Goes Alone. And this is basically Eric Larson has been well known as a nonfiction writer, and this is going to be his first delve into fiction. And I'm so excited. I think he is a wonderful author. He wrote Devil in the White City, and I absolutely love that book. I actually read it every year because I think it's so great. I think it's so interesting, and there's always so much more to pick up from it. So this story is actually a ghost story that's grounded through different historical events, and he's creating it out of these things. So I am so here for it. I'm so excited. And I completely forgot to put it in here because I had it at the bottom of my list rather than that in the right place, and I'm sorry about that. But now we'll jump back to October. The next one I want to move on to is October 19th, and the book I want to talk about is Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. This is advertised as Kirsten White meets Tomi Adeyemi in an Ethiopian-inspired tale that's a retelling of Jane Eyre. Like, seriously, this sounds so intriguing to me. Like, take all those things and mash them together, and that sounds good. It sounds very good. This basically follows a girl named Andromeda who is hired to cleanse a house of evil. And when she gets to the house, she realizes this is not something she has ever trained for. But she feels bad leaving the owner in this haunted house that could and probably will end up killing him. And so she basically puts her life on the line in order to try and save him and to try and rid the evil from this house. So I love a haunted house story. This does sound like a very me kind of story, and I'm very excited for it. Also coming out on the 19th is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Now, I was not a fan of the Merciful Crows series by Margaret Owen, but this is a Goose Girl retelling, and I am a sucker for Goose Girl retellings. For ask anyone who knows me, one of my favorite books is Thorn, which is a Goose Girl retelling, and I did really enjoy reading the Goose Girl, so yeah. I think that this one will be interesting. I am willing to give her a second chance. I am very curious to see how this goes. That's really all I know about it. I don't want to know more. Just let me go into a blind. It's okay. It's really okay. That's what I got for you guys here for now. I know this isn't nearly as many as you probably expected, but I just kept it with the top ones that I'm looking forward to. There are obviously many, many, many more coming out. There are a lot of books coming out over this fall for this autumn, and I think you guys should look them up, check out some other ones, but this is what I had. These are my top few. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, now is the perfect time to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to this video. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasional Sundays, and if you want to be reminded when we post these videos, please hit the little bell icon down below. Until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!